An important part of any presentation that is made by Oracle and their partner Marketing Cube, which is us, the following is important for you to understand. So I'll leave it there for a moment for you to understand. Essentially what this is telling you is anything that we talk about from a product feature point of view is forward-looking only and not necessarily a commitment. But we'll certainly make clear for you as we talk today about what is currently available versus what we might be thinking about.
Welcome everyone and good morning to all of you, wherever you are. So we might start by just looking at the impact of the pandemic. As we know, we are in the middle of a health crisis. And there was an article that was published in the AFR in May 2020 that suggested that COVID-19 could actually act as a catalyst for change. It looked at how law firms could actually use it to their advantage. And interestingly, Minter Ellison, Australia's largest law firm, said in that article that every job was now agile. And the expectation was a third of its workforce would keep working remotely even after the COVID-19 crisis was over. But when the pandemic took hold of us and the full force of the consequences began to unfold, there was a Law Society Journal article that reported that staff at several firms were asked to accept reductions in pay and hours. Firms were also considered about the credit risk of their clients because some clients were deeply impacted by the crisis. And future work and productivity of remote working employees was also in question. And additionally, firms that work within the sectors that were deeply impacted, like the ones in leisure, travel, and retail, would also have to find other sectors that were not impacted. And there was significant reduction in mergers and acquisition kind of activity and transactional commercial work, including things like transactions, contracts, competition, and consumer law. And in some partners where partners acted as a key liaison, they had to do more grunt work because some of these activities were affected and people that normally did this work, whether they were paralegals or administrative staff, would either have taken those pay cuts or had reduced hours of work. There was an article that McKinsey also published in May 2020, and that looked at the implications to law firms globally and what lessons could be learned from previous downturns. Now, the report suggested that the pandemic indeed, as I mentioned before, presents opportunities to accelerate digital transformation for law firms. So traditionally, as we know, law firms are considered slow to adopt new technology, and they don't usually progress at the same pace as other verticals or other industries. But what the report basically found that was critical was now more than ever, it was really, really critical to have a laser-like focus on clients. And there was no better time to really focus on connecting and listening deeply to client needs. Having the ability to even personalize messages they found could make a huge difference to client engagement and the trust that clients place in the firm and in your partners. Additionally, the report also found that clients at this time are looking for sound information and hard data and impartial advice. But as we all know, being flooded with the information through email, because everyone was now switching to email, meant that firms had to cut through the clutter to be relevant and truly differentiate and be able to innovate on the channels which were not just email, but be still able to reach clients. And as more and more employees continue to work remotely, having the ability to collaborate and being able not only to use technology to automate processes, but also provide flexibility to focus on more high-value activities becomes more important. And the ability to offer strategic investments, flexible payment terms, credit towards future work, or even alternative fee arrangements would show the strength through extending the firm's balance sheet for clients rather than gradually losing ground through a lack of pricing discipline. And finally, the report advises moving beyond the basics to best practice of widespread and varied communication, impact tracking of initiatives, and rebalancing for short-term coordination and priorities as needed. And while this is an unprecedented time and an unprecedented public health crisis, there are still opportunities to be had. And the report advises that firms should look at both the near-sighted goals and the short-term goals, as well as look at the long-term goals of how they can use the pandemic to actually really change the business model or really change the way they communicate with their clients. Now, we hear a lot from our customers about how their business models are being disrupted every day due to technology innovation. And today, as you mostly know, the experience that a brand provides is more important and sometimes even more important than the service itself that is being provided. And this is being driven because of the B2C experiences that are driving expectations around how even B2B engagements will work. And we at Oracle call this the experience economy. And we firmly believe that the relationship that a brand has with its customers or its clients is being transformed in four primary ways. The first is how brands and customers or prospects discover each other. Now, for your clients, this is all about doing their own research well before connecting with you, whether that's on social media, through their peers, or via networks or events. And for you in firms, it's about being in a constant path of discovery to find out who your customers are, what do they really want, how do you reach them with the right messages at the right time and on the right channel. The second is engagement. So as we all know, brands no longer control how and when they engage with their clients, the end client does. And that journey is no longer linear, and every client expects an experience that's completely unique to them, and they interact on their own terms rather than following the prescribed path that was up until now dictated by the brand or the law firm. The third is consume. So the way clients actually consume services, or in your case as marketers, how they consume content is changing dramatically. And that impacts the very nature of what it means to receive a service. Now, from a law firm's perspective, this could mean just making small improvements to a website, having a more responsive design or experience that delivers content and allows clients to find information more quickly when it matters, or even having the ability for a prospect to connect and receive responses directly from a partner that they would like to engage with in the future. And finally, as you all know, clients and you as customers as well, or consumers as well, we are all getting used to a lot of self-service with other brands or services that we consume. And this presents an opportunity for law firms as well to serve clients via things like client portals, having digital assistants, having knowledge or content on demand, and create relationships that are enduring and that go beyond just one matter or engagement. Engagement now is shifting to what we call micro moments. And we believe that engaging clients requires you to shift to these micro moments. Now, this focuses marketing, business development, and service professionals to think very differently and making sure that every moment matters. And however, a shift to these micro moments also raises some serious challenges to both marketers as well as CX professionals. Now, in the experience economy, they're expected to know their customers better than the customers know themselves, but at the same time, respect their privacy. You need to be able to anticipate their needs before they do, and all the while be invisible and not intrusive. You need to be able to engage with your clients on their terms, at their time, and in the channel of their choosing. You as organizations or any organization needs to be able to think beyond the silos of that organization, be it marketing, business development, and service, because your clients definitely don't perceive you as business development, marketing, and service. They just perceive you as being a one product. They found that open rates increased 84%. And by providing personalized experiences, mark a lift in revenue, an increase in efficiencies, and low cost of action. Now, let's look at the challenges. Firstly, where your data currently resides, your practice management software or invoice and billing software, perhaps, your CRM, and even your marketing. And secondly, departments within the firm might be employing their own point solutions independently. That's also adds to the fragmentation of data. And having multiple practice areas, having an industry focus, operating in multiple functions also adds challenge. Departments themselves that are operating separately might have the need to maintain client confidentiality and manage potential conflicts. And the organization's hierarchies also impact the ability to actively use that customer data. All of this now results in inaccurate customer data or duplication of customer data, which impacts the ability of scale as not being able to connect that data leads to manual processes such as data extracts, list creation, even batch and blasts being employed. And obviously, this impacts the ability to personalize content at scale, execute effective campaigns, and eventually nurture and engage interest to successfully increase the client's lifetime value to the firm. And most times, we also find that firms do not have the ability to market do not have the ability to report on their marketing activities and don't have the ability to be able to monitor success reliably and be able to connect marketing efforts to revenue generation activities. And that impacts the ability for marketers from securing a seat at the table to influence strategy effectively. Now, according to Gartner, the single most impactful and frequently used information source is the customer's own experience. And they found that B2B buyers who consume highly consistent information across multiple supply channels are 4 times more likely to complete a high value low rates. They were higher ROI than traditional marketing. And a couple of more key points from Forrester that suggest that CX leaders drive 5 times better revenue growth, and CX leaders outperform CX laggards on stock price by 29 percentage points. Now, bringing it all together, our approach to helping you bring this together is threefold. Our first approach is our connected data. Our data first approach enables you to start with a robust understanding of your clients, no matter how or where they interact with you as or your brand. And data is at the center of our strategy, and we strongly believe that it is the only way to be successful. Our competitors will have a different strategy. Some are CRM first, some are creative first, but we are data first. And the next point there is connected intelligence. That data that you have, once it's connected, is only as valuable as it's actionable. And our approach to intelligence and artificial intelligence is that we focus on embedding these capabilities within the solution to help augment user skills and provide deeper and more personalized experiences for customers at scale. And we don't assume that you will have to then rely on a bevy of partners or an ecosystem to help you deliver the use cases, potentially driving up the total cost of ownership and increasing the complexity of engaging multiple partners and vendors. And finally, to drive revenue growth in the experience economy, activating that customer intelligence in each of those micro moments that I mentioned earlier and engaging with your customers is critical. So these micro moments occur on your customers' terms, and we believe that your strategy must enable whoever touches that customer first to be able to provide that exceptional experience. And with that, I'll now hand over to Adrian to talk about how they help customers achieve this kind of success.
Thank you so much for making some time to be with us today. We finished a little bit early, which is always good. It's good to have an early mark. But thanks again, and thank you, Vivek, and thank you, Adrian, for making some time to be with us today.
Thanks, Derek.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Derek.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.